Hey there, it's Tony Butler, and today we're going to talk about a really important concept for all of you side hustlers out there. What's the difference between a startup and a small business? And more importantly, where should you get started? Should you go after a side hustle in a service business, a product business, or maybe you got an idea and you're going to go after a pure startup? I'll answer each of the questions and I'll give you my best thoughts on both of them, on all of them. Okay? But before I do that, please click like on this video, and if you haven't done so yet, please follow this channel. I'm giving it all away. Decades of business and marketing advice, as well as some tips and tricks in personal productivity and, most importantly, mindset. Okay, so everyone wants to be part of a startup. They want to raise millions of dollars and become the next big thing, the next Uber, the next Tesla, whatever. It sounds very glamorous. And the myth is that it's the road to riches. And for a very tiny number of people, and a tiny percentage of those who actually have a startup, it is the right way to go in order to make a lot of money. But for most startups, they never get funded. I can't even tell you how many startups I've consulted with over the years that were never able to raise money. They're just an idea and it never sees the light of day. And besides that, most of the ideas are terrible. I cannot tell you over the years like how many dating app startups I've run across. Everyone trying to solve the exact same problem in a slightly different way, kind of a Me Too thing. But it's not really a problem anymore. And there's lots of categories like that. Another one is like marketing automation or, how to make website pages or website landing pages. There's dozens of competitors out there, and a lot of them are exactly the same or very similar. Okay, does the world really need another dating app? Do we really need another website builder? I don't think so. Many startups that do get funded, they never really find their way. A lot of them, they get some money, they start to build a product, they do the testing, and they just don't go anywhere. Think for instance, like look at Twitter. In its first few years in business, it lost more than $1 billion. It didn't have its first profitable quarter until, if I'm not mistaken, 2019. And who knows, can it be sustainably profitable? I personally have my doubts, but who knows for sure. For the most part, I think of as the side hustle crowd, those people, who are just trying to get something started to make a little extra money. A startup, it's a wrong idea. It's not the right way to go. If you need to earn extra money and you hate where you're at and you want to do something different, you want to get somewhere else, then don't focus on what we think of as a startup, inventing something new from thin air. You want to focus on starting a small business, and they're very different things. They have some commonalities, but they're different. The number of true startups with a new idea that hasn't been done before, it doesn't exist in the marketplace, you want to bring it out. It's a small percentage of the total businesses in the U.S. There's 31 million businesses in the country. Of those, 25 million of them don't even have a single employee other than the owner. That means that the majority of businesses are basically just, solopreneurs, freelancers, gig economy. If you want to think of it like that. If they haven't incorporated, the median income, it's only $25,000 a year, okay, for these guys. And if there is an entity out there like an LLC or an S corp, then the median income it's just over $50,000 a year. So for most people, having your own business, the majority of businesses in the country, they don't make that much money. All right, but that doesn't tell the whole story. For true startups, it's even worse. The problem for someone who just wants to earn some extra money is that a lot of startups, they don't have a product or service yet to sell. So most of them go out of business. They don't have a real way of earning money. Many times they're not even quite sure, what the real target market is or what it should be. It's just trying to figure it out. I think a lot of those startups, it's someone who they're working on their idea in their spare time. They're kind of progressing slowly. If they're not all the way by themselves, maybe they got a co-founder or something. But to do things at scale, to even see if they can grow, sometimes it just takes a big infusion of cash, from an investor or friends and family or wherever they get the money from. The startup game, it's just hard, and you're not going to, more likely than not, you're not just going to have a startup that is going to lead you to quick cash. It just doesn't work like that. And so if you're just trying to earn extra money, startup is definitely not the way to go. What you want to look for is look for something outside of your primary job. I'm assuming that you're working. Your best avenue is to look for a service you can provide. The reason I suggest you focus on a service business rather than a product business is because of the difficulty of startup. Of just getting out the door. Creating a new product from scratch, whether it's digital or physical, it can be difficult and time consuming. It's not for the faint of heart, and few people are really suited to creating something from scratch. You can be a reseller, you can be a drop shipper, that kind of thing, but there's enormous competition, the margins are low, it's a very tough business. The strength of a product business is that once you have a product and you crack the code on how to sell it, a product business can scale much faster than and easier than a service business. It just can. The trade-off between product and service business is that service businesses are easy to start and hard to scale. Product businesses are harder to start but easier to scale. Okay. You just have to decide what's right for you and in your circumstance. If you have an urgent need for cash, you're trying to make the rent at the end of the month, then more likely than not, you want to spend your time starting a service business. What can you do right now to make some money helping someone? Service companies are by far the easiest to start. So in general, depending on the type of service, you're going to you don't need a lot of investment to get started. For some jobs, you can just start with a laptop and an internet connection. You might need some specialized software, hard to tell. It just depends on what you're going to do. If it's not a digital job, maybe you're going to do some physical labor of some sort. That can be a good way to get started too. The main thing is you need to have a skill that's in demand that people are willing to pay for. There's lots of people who have photography businesses or video editing businesses. Maybe they just drive an Uber. All right. Those are service-based businesses and they don't take a lot to get started. The thing is, if you have a specialty skill, like a technical expertise of some sort, you can do really well. Programmers of all types, they're in high demand. Another category that I love right now is platform support people. If you're not familiar with platforms, I'm thinking of like marketing software like Marketo or CRM system like Salesforce.com. They have entire ecosystems of technical products surrounding them, and they need lots of people to work on those. If you know how to work with these products or program and customize them, you can make really good money, even as a part-timer. Some other platforms with their own ecosystems that are growing and hiring service and support people. HubSpot is one. I'm in that business. I work a lot with HubSpot. Another one is G Suite. So Google has this, they have their entire suite that's for businesses. A lot of people, a lot of companies are using that. But there's not a lot of service companies out there to help people using G Suite. So definitely an opportunity. And these are large ecosystems, lots of different things to do there, lots of niche expertise available. So the real question is, how do you get started in finding a new side hustle? My best recommendation is start with some self-contemplation. What do you like to do? What skills do you already have? And based on your interests, what skills could you gain with just a little bit of effort, with some study, with some practice. Not everyone is wired the same. Give you an example. When I first left home, I joined the Army. I enlisted for a 3-year gig, and I signed up as a mechanic. It was a terrible mistake for me personally. I wasn't good at mechanics at all. I hated using tools. I didn't know how to use them. They taught me a little bit. I just wasn't good at it. And I think most of all, though, I wasn't interested in it at all. It didn't fit my personality. But at the time when I chose it, I wasn't self-aware enough. I had gone to the recruiter. They looked at some books. I thought about it a little bit. I was like, yeah, I'll try and be a mechanic. If I had been more self-aware, I would have chosen a job with computers or more of an admin type. I was really incredibly interested in computers at the time. I had taught myself how to program as a teenager. You got to remember, this is in the 80s. This is before the internet was even widespread. And, teaching myself how to program was super, super hard and really technical. It's not easy like it is now. It wasn't Java. I was learning old school languages. If I had gone down that route, I think I would have been much happier in my first few years in the Army. Um, Instead, I was miserable. If you can't decide and you just don't have an obvious interest or skill that you can use to make money right now, I would suggest start with one of the tech platforms I mentioned earlier. Here's the thing. There's an enormous amount of free online information you can access to learn about them. Some of them even have free certifications you can get with just some study and some practice. HubSpot has an entire academy that's free to access. Just check it out. Just Google it, HubSpot Academy, you'll find it. They got dozens and dozens of certifications, hundreds of videos. It's a great tool to start learning about digital marketing and how HubSpot works and learn about the whole inbound process. There's plenty of opportunities in the HubSpot community for both full-time and gig work, but they just need people who understand what is the purpose of the whole platform and what are all the clients doing. Some of them are advertising and driving traffic to landing pages. Others are just doing straight digital where they're, content marketing and that kind of stuff. Great opportunity for someone to get started in. But it doesn't matter. If you choose a platform and you start learning about it, here's the thing. It's going to lead to other things. It's going to reveal what you're interested in. It's going to reveal what you like. Okay, for some of you who might know my story, I got into marketing by accident. I was working at a tech startup in New York City. I was in sales. We didn't have a strong marketing team on board at the time. The company was really small. I was like employee number 57, something like that. And I wasn't getting enough leads. So I started learning about marketing on my own. I was just trying to get more leads. I was just trying to make it as a sales guy. I had no intentions of going into marketing. But as I learned a little bit about it and I had a little success, I enjoyed it. I was really interested in it. And one thing led to another. And 5 years later, I founded my own marketing agency, focused on helping brands create content. It wasn't something I chose. It kind of chose me. It was just this path that happened. But I found it through study and self-contemplation. I suspect a lot of people are like I was, and they're not sure what they want to do and what they're good at. I think trying different things is important. As a kid, I spent 5 years working in restaurants. I washed dishes, I bussed tables, I did prep work, which I actually liked. I liked working in the kitchen a lot. I worked as a janitor, mopping floors, waxing floors, buffing, cleaning bathrooms, taking out the trash, that kind of stuff. And I spent one whole summer working on a farm out in Nevada, out in the heat. You talk about my Irish skin not liking the sun. That didn't go well. I also had my own yard business, for a few years where I mowed lawns, I took care of people's yards, I watered for them. For some of them, I would check on them a couple times a week, while they were away on vacation. Then as an adult, I worked as a mechanic, like I said earlier. I also worked as a clerk, and then I was in the infantry. Okay. Then when I got out of the military, I worked as a professional project manager at a manufacturing plant. I got my 6 Sigma green belt. Who knew, right? I studied lean manufacturing. I was going down the pathway of, really going into project management, but I didn't really love it. It was okay. It was interesting work. I liked the place I worked at, but the job itself I didn't love. So then I wasn't making enough money, and I transitioned into sales. And this was kind of a desperation move at the time because, I had a little baby at home and a wife, and my wife wasn't working. I just needed to make more money, and I had this opportunity, and so I just jumped into sales blindly. I didn't know anything about it at all in the defense industry. And, I ended up in sales, and I kind of liked it. I did. I liked it. And then I moved from there, and I ended up at a tech startup. One of the best jobs I ever had in my life. I loved every minute of it. It was super hard, really challenging. I liked sales. It was kind of every day was a new day. You're just rated on what you can bring in. I loved the hunter kind of idea. Then from there, I moved over. I was the VP of sales at an IT company. And then eventually I was the CEO of an IT company. And then along the way, I dabbled. I started a publishing company, and I was trying to publish books and articles and things, make money. And then I jumped over, and I had made money at the IT company, and so I started a real estate investment company. And I was trying to, put money into rental properties, and I bought some apartment buildings. And, after a few years, I got rid of that. And then I moved on. And for the last 7 years, I've been in marketing. I've kind of been in the tech side of tech support. I've been in the HubSpot community, and recently I started the Side Hustle Academy. All of those things, it was never a straight road. It's like one thing led to another, and my interest led me to the next thing. I couldn't have planned it at all. I think this success came from just trying a lot of things and not being afraid to learn something from the ground up. Not being afraid to jump industries and, hey, start into a new industry, not knowing a single thing about it, learn from the ground up, and then dominate, like do your best, like really do good work. And I think that's where interests come in, is where when you find something you're interested in, you're going to do a lot better at it than if you're just grinding because you need a paycheck. No one wants to do that. I don't dread the week. I'm not looking forward to Friday because I like my job. Monday comes around and I'm fine with it. I go to work because I like to work. I like what I'm doing. So there you have it. A startup is not a small business. If you want to make money right now and you've got some urgency, focus on a service business. Product businesses are awesome too, but they just take a lot more time to get going. Okay. And of course, if you have an interest in content marketing, you might consider checking out my Primal storytelling system. There's nothing else like it in the world. And we are coming out and we're going to be offering a Primal storytelling certification so that you can earn your certification after completing the course, and you could go out and offer Primal storytelling to clients. It's a proven formula. It delivers great results to businesses, and it's been a great way to make yourself valuable in the marketplace. Or you could even apply it to your existing business. So there you have it. Hey, before you go, I want to leave you with something. If you already have a business and you're struggling to build out a content marketing program, then you're not sure where to get started, put something down in the comments. Share a link to your website in the comments and I'll take a look. I'll give you some ideas on where to start on a value theme, free of charge. You can also message me on Instagram. It's Anthony L. Butler, or shoot me an email at anthony@candoideas.com. It's my marketing agency, and I will answer you myself, okay? So until next time, this is Tony Butler. Be well.